Hello students, this is the third time I've tried to make this video for you, so hopefully this time it actually works, but I will be brief. So I've been reviewing your work from last week and the week before. I apologize for the technical issues with making a video, but I want to say a few things. So many of you have definitely stepped up your citations and your use of the proper format, and this is great. Some of you are still struggling, so I want to try to make it clear why it is so important to have both a parenthetical, author, comma, year, and a reference at the end, which gives all the information of the book. So as I am reading John Doe's paper, John Doe says to me in his paper that most Americans would like to start a business. No citation, no parenthetical, just what I'm looking at as his opinion. If Jane says in her paper that according to the Harvard Business Review, 63% of Americans would like to start a small business, and then has a parenthetical, Harvard Business, comma, 2020, and then at the end there's a reference. I can take this information and look up that information on the website or in the publication that is being quoted, and I can see if this is correct. So even though both students might be right in what they're saying, Jane will get points for this and John will not, for two reasons. One, John could be considered to be plagiarizing that information because it's not his information. Two, if it's just John's idea, it's not really appropriate for an academic setting because while your ideas are important and valuable, they are not relevant when writing a paper. So I know that's hard to hear maybe, but it's just true. And as I said in the beginning, this is not a creative writing course. This is not a course where it's just for you to tell me a story. The idea is for you to look at the course content and then connect that course content to your experience. So when the question is asking you about your experience with a leadership decision that was being made, what I want you to do is take the information and relate it back to the course concepts. And one tool you can use to help you do this is the rubric. This is the rubric printed quite large. And as I said earlier, if you do everything proficient, which means you follow all the prompt, you get an 85%, not 100, an 85. If you go above and beyond and exceed proficiency, and you are creative and insightful and sophisticated, then you can get a higher grade. But this is very subjective, whether I feel like it is creative and insightful. The other ones are not subjective. It is telling me that so-and-so described the organizational culture of the chosen organization. So if I get a paper this week that does not describe the organizational culture, or you say, my organization doesn't have a culture. Well, what can I do with that? You didn't do it, so that gives you 0. So what I want to see is, I work for Walmart. Walmart's organizational culture is such and such. Their mission statement is more value for people, whatever, and then a citation. Then I know that you've done your homework. So the second criteria is around the impact of culture and leadership. So I want you to describe the culture and leadership and give me examples on a day-to-day basis. How do you see this? What are the artifacts of the culture that you are seeing in your place of work? And then leadership style and personality traits. I don't want you to tell me you're charming. I want you to go back to the personality traits of OCEAN and the Big Five and tell me what those traits you have are. You took the assessment, you know what the citation should be, and you need to talk about that and then talk about your leadership style. This is what I mean when I say it's not a creative writing course. It's not just your chance to describe yourself. I want you to use the terminology from the course because that's what's telling me that you know what you're doing. So I would say go down this rubric and read each one. There's 3 main categories: organizational culture, impact of the culture, and leadership style. These should be the headings of your paper in APA format. And then your articulation of response is whether you've written it properly. And most of the mistakes I see are an inadequate use of tense, not putting something in the past tense that should be, not using the future tense, a lack of knowledge of the apostrophe S, not knowing the difference between possessive and plural, and typos sometimes, just because you didn't read through it carefully. And then citations. making sure your citations are correct. It can't just be whatever format you want, because it must be useful to me so I can look this up and know that what you're saying is correct. So these are sort of the main points in terms of writing, and you will need on your journal. This week you also have a discussion post. The discussion is confusing. I don't make up the assignments, I just teach them and grade them. So I have gone ahead and made thread A, thread B, and thread C. If your name is A through L, use thread A, and I want you to come up with this mission statement. And then what you are to do, it's like a telephone game. Whoever is before you, you're going to add to or change that mission statement. And then by the end, we will end up with something very different from what we began with. So someone has to start it. So whoever starts it, we will go from there. And you need to say what you changed. What did you change in the mission statement? How are you going to tell me you changed it? Are you going to bold it, put it a different color? And then I want you to go back to the text and find the question words, the who, what, where, when, and why of the mission statement. And then in thread C, you're going to compare and contrast the two statements from the two different groups. And then again, I want to see you talk about concepts in these answers. So I won't belabor this any longer. I just want to make sure that you are watching these videos. I have made a YouTube channel. I hope this will make this easier. And additionally, I want to make sure that you are following the rubric and the prompt and reaching out to me if you have any questions. I look forward to looking at your assignments, and hopefully this will be a good format for the videos.